What's up everyone on the internet? Thank you for making this video part today. I am so excited to upload this one for you guys because this video we're going to be taking a look at possibly the best show in 2024 and also the most authentic Japanese miniseries ever, Shogun. So this show is actually based off a novel by James Clavell, which is loosely based around actual historical events that shaped Japan. And when you look at the show, it's actually set during the Sengoku and Edo period. And whenever we think about period pieces set in Japan, our minds immediately go to, okay, we're gonna get some samurai. But going into this show, one of the things that was done beautifully was the marketing campaign, because holy crap, they feel you in on everything, not just from a production standpoint, but they also feel you in on some of the backstory as well. Because before the show was even released, FX released a 7 or 8 minute video that basically acts like a prologue to the entire series, where you learn about every single character and their motives and their interests, while also learning a little bit more about Japanese government. So if you want to enhance your Shogun experience, I highly recommend you watch that video because it really does flesh out all the history and culture that we do see throughout the entire season. I will definitely put a link in the description down below so you can check out that video. But going back to the story, you follow 3 characters who are essentially tied to one another and have their own role to play. You've got John Blackthorne, who's the first Englishman to step foot in Japan, and is also basically a pirate. Then you've got Lady Monako, who is not only Blackthorne's interpreter, but she's also the last remaining daughter of a samurai clan that got wiped out. And then you've got Lord Toranaga, who is played by the incredible Hideyoki Sanada, who has been in movies like The Last Samurai, The Wolverine, and even Mortal Kombat. What's also pretty cool is that not only is Hideyoki Sanada starring in this show, but he's also one of the show's main producers, given how he was very passionate in presenting an authentic Japanese story to people outside of Japan. And I love how we as an audience are put in the same shoes as John Blackthorne when he first arrives to Japan, because whenever we think about Japan, we have the notion that it is very kind, very respectful, and very elegant. It's not until when we see the first head getting chopped off where we're like, oh my god, this just got real. And when you look at Blackthorne, he's not a perfect character. And what I mean by that is that he's not noble, he's not heroic, he's not the swashbuckling pirate that we fantasize. But at the very core, he's a survivor. And what makes him so relatable to English-speaking viewers is that we kind of imagine ourselves in that position, because if we were in a foreign land where we have no business being there, we would do anything to keep our head on our shoulders. And what does Blackthorne do? He strikes a deal with Toranaga to help him wipe out any threat to the current emperor, who is only a child. And when you're introduced to Lady Monako, while at first she's Blackthorne's interpreter, as the show progresses, you peel more and more layers of this character and see that she's got a tragic past. And it's not until the very end where you realize, wow, she had a very, very critical role to play in the outcome of the story. And I love that when you look at Blackthorne, Toranaga, and Mariko, you realize that they're the only 3 characters that are standing between Japan and total corruption. And that's another thing that also surprised me, which is, wow, there is a lot of politics involved in this show, because when you hear a title like Shogun, you think, okay, we're gonna get big battles involving samurai. But when we start off with episode 1, we actually open up to the impeachment of Toranaga, which is kind of crazy when you see just how much power this guy really has, where impeaching him is gonna be easier said than done. But it kind of reminded me of the opening of Gladiator. Remember when Maximus was given the title of emperor in order to hold the government before it was ready to transition back to a republic? Well, we kind of see that in Shogun, where Toranaga has been given an incredible amount of power, but he doesn't want that, so he'll hold this power until the heir to the emperor is ready to take the throne. But there are people who have their own agendas. And the further you get into this series, the more you see that the more power you have, the more you have to preserve it, making everyone your enemy. And with all the players trying to anticipate the next move, this entire show from beginning to end feels like a game of chess. So if I had to describe this series with one word, it would be that it is very precise, given how every word, every movement, every action made has meaning to it, providing a matter of order that can be controlled. And if anything disturbs that order, well, then it's got to be put to death. Which brings me to the production side of the show, which is phenomenal, because Holy crap, they fooled me. Originally, I thought they filmed the whole thing in Japan. Nope, they filmed the whole thing in Vancouver, Canada. And after visiting Japan, seeing some of the architecture, I was blown away when I saw some of the castles and villages and what they looked like during this time. Also, the costumes in this show are a work of beauty. Oh my god, when you see what the men and women wore during that time, it's incredible. When you see the amazing samurai costumes and then you look at the girls, when you see what they wore, oh my god, all the women in this show looked beautiful. It just makes me want to go back to Japan and start my own samurai journey. Changing focus, when you listen to the Japanese language being spoken, while it may sound familiar because of anime and Japanese pop culture, it's also very different. But if you study and speak on a daily basis like me, mainichi nihongo benkyou shimasu, you pick up a few phrases that sound familiar and then you realize that this is their version of Old English. This is what Japanese was spoken like during this period. So I thought that was pretty cool as it puts you deeper into the show. When you see all these little details that made this show as authentic as possible, you sort of feel like you have some sort of grasp of Japanese culture and history. Anyway, looking at the characters, the politics, the production, let's talk about the one thing that we all came here to see: samurai action. What makes this show special is that they didn't splurge on giving us battle after battle after battle. Instead, they hold back and sprinkle in some conflict throughout the entire series, as you see just how horrific war really is. Because, oh my god, some of the violence in this show is some of the most graphic things I've ever seen on TV. And without giving away spoilers, I will say they made the most mundane death the most graphic thing I've ever seen on TV. So while you do get some small samurai fights throughout the entire series, you can feel the tension build with every single episode that goes by, as you feel all the doors closing in around you and you know the enemy's getting closer and closer and closer. And after we cross the point of no return, that is when all hell breaks loose. Not gonna lie, it has been a long time since I've seen a TV show give us something of that scale, while at the same time tell a compelling story about duty and honor. So overall, I had an amazing time with this series. From beginning to end, I loved each and every single episode, as we not only got some of the best samurai action on TV, but we also got the most authentic representation of Japanese history, which really gets you invested in the culture and world of Japan. So if you want to watch a show about samurai fighting each other, you're gonna love this show. But if you want to watch something that'll further your interest in Japan, then I highly recommend you watch this show. Well, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. That was my overall view on Shogun. If you like what you saw, hit the subscribe button to go updates from this channel. I'll see you next time with a brand new video. Bye-bye.